All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody. Wow. Welcome on in, NorCal Sports Network and the Warriors. Maybe the gutsiest game, as Mark Graves just texted me, of the year. That was a heck of a ball game. We're going to get into the details of the game. We'll break it all down for you. First, let us thank our sponsor of the show, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed all of California. Give Chapman Law Group a call, 415-613-9483. You got a personal injury situation you need help with? Hey, don't settle with an insurance company before you give Chapman Law Group a call. You're leaving thousands of dollars on the table that you could be getting with Chapman Law Group. So give them a call. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, Lou. Let's have the band. Thanks, band, for a while. We'll get you back at the end. What a ball game. What a ball game, guys. That will be great if Jimmy can come back, as D-Loading says, if he comes back Monday. The fact that the report that Shams put out earlier on him, he's barely moved. It's a deep glute muscle. That's tough. You got to get that inflammation out. I don't know what you do, man. Sleep in ice, put your butt in ice. What do you know? I don't know. But what a ball game. I mean, the performances tonight, Lou, were plentiful on the Warriors side. I mean, you look at what GP2 meant to this game.
The difference in the fourth. The difference.
Yeah. He put up 16. Buddy Hield, I told you guys the other night, I said, Buddy is going to be a difference maker. Yeah, he turned the ball over with that dribbling, but I told you he'd make at least 3, if not 4 threes in the game. How many did Buddy hit? He had 5. Home court Buddy showed up.
Yeah. And crucial situations too.
Yeah. I just felt like Buddy Hield was going to have a good game tonight. And if he can just learn to not do too much dribbling and, I love Quentin Post. Excellent on the boards and defensively. He was sagging off of Sengun, and then he was able to help out when guys drove to the bucket, and he caused guys to miss shots. And then he comes down with how many rebounds tonight? 12. 9 defensive, 3 on the offense. The Warriors actually not too bad in the rebounds tonight. 51-45 in the favor of the Rockets, but a far cry from 16 different. And they did change up the lineup. I told you what else did I say the other night? Watch that Jonathan Kuminga starts tonight. I just had a feeling he would. That was a heck of a ball game, Lou. Just the physicality. My only my only trouble with tonight was Draymond losing it again. He's lucky he didn't get thrown out of the game. He's very lucky he didn't get thrown out of the game. The referee, I think that's Scott, the guy with the Southern accent that always talks when he tells the fouls or whatever the challenges. He was pretty cool with him. He just gave him a little tea, but I mean, chasing him down like that and then keeps arguing. There's some officials that would have just tossed him. So I give the official credit for just kind of keeping his cool and not escalating, because some officials like the combat. They like that. They want to show their boss. So, but Lou, give us your thoughts on the game.
I'll give you the 30-second version. I thought Houston blew it. I think the worst thing that happened to Houston early is they got up 9, 11 points, and they really, tell you the truth, they should have been up 20. They only went down 11. And then probably in the second quarter late, the refs sort of changed. They started calling a little more fierce, and the Warriors adapted. Houston didn't. I thought there were two main situations where I think the Warriors really wanted on getting the rebounds and the second shot chances, where Curry buried them a couple times on huge threes. I thought Hield, one thing about Hield, I think he was probably like 0-1 for his first 5, and I started getting frustrated, but then he hit 3 in a row at crucial times. And then the fourth quarter, both teams played well, but the benches took over for the Warriors at the end. Depth. I'm glad the Warriors were playing Houston, not another team like Oklahoma that had a lot of offense, because Steph just started. I mean, he was tired, because he had to do a lot. But hey, the one good thing about the Warriors is the Warriors bench stepped up. If it was me, I wouldn't play Butler. I know you got to get past the series, but you got to think of the long haul. If you're telling me that he had all these pains, they can still beat him at home. They're not going on the road. I think they can win to go up 3-1. And you got to say Butler, not for this series, but for the next series. But I thought overall a gutty win. And I'm going to give a little credit to the crowd. I thought the crowd was sort of in shock for the first 2 quarters. They sort of pissed me off. They weren't loud. But boy, did they turn it on in the second half. And I'm glad
I said the same thing, Lou.
That okay. It
I was
sort of
thinking
like
the same thing. I was like where is this crowd?
Yeah, and that's the difference between Chase and Oracle, or Roracle, as we called it. From the tip going up, you heard it loud as could be. Chase, sometimes, I don't know if we're just spoiled, but our fans really were like, okay, But hey, overall, the most important is we got the W, and of course GP2. Boy, when it counts in the fourth, without him, we don't win. So I thought it was huge on his part, and I'm glad the bench won us the game, where Steph can't do everything, but the bench won us the game, and we're up 2-1. Hello, Big Red.
The crowd is a front-running crowd at San Francisco. They're not into the game. When the Warriors are down 8-10 at, like you said, at Roracle, the crowd brings the Warriors back in. This crowd is the San Francisco's always been kind of a wine and cheese crowd.
Wine, yeah.
It sometimes, gosh, I don't know. And then a lot of times with this crowd, they're not even in their seats until halfway through the third quarter because of the way the arena is, and everybody goes and eats. A little different at the Clippers arena, where they bring all the food to you and they have the fans in the stands. I think you kind of
make sure before we forget, we got to talk about that incredible ending to the
Clippers game. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah,
that was wild. We'll get into that. Yeah. Frank, unbelievable game. Tell us your thoughts on the game and what stood out to you.
Basically, it turned out how I thought it would turn out. The Warriors played at home. Steve Kerr and his staff got the energy up of all the players. Now, certain players played better than others, but I didn't see anybody dog it on the team. So everybody played with a high level of intensity. And I think that in and of itself, when you got 2 good teams and you're playing at home, can sometimes be the deciding factor. Now, I didn't see GP2 scoring 16, 17. Stephen probably played better than I thought he was. I thought Jimmy Butler was going to play. But again, the collective resolve of the entire team, the way they competed physically, to me is why they won the game. Because every game Houston plays, they think that they're going to physically dominate the opposition. And if you look at the Warriors tonight, I'm not going to say that they dominated Houston, but they met their physicality. And they made plays in the second half down the stretch where they need to. And that's how you win playoff games. So it turned out how I thought it would turn out.
Yeah. And Steph was able to adjust to that trapping, get the ball out of his hands. and get it into whether it be Draymond or post, and then they would move it around. And they really figured it out in the second half when they got it to GP2, and he just took it down to the, to the hoop. And that three-pointer in the corner of GP2's was crucial.
Yeah.
Because I think that put him up like 7 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were missing a lot of threes tonight. The Warriors tonight were 14 of 45, only 31% from 3-point range. Not good, but Houston, a little better, 11 of 28. They were 39%. That's pretty good. If you can shoot 39, 40% as a team, that's pretty good. But 31, a little rough. But where the Warriors were able to win that battle is they took 17 more threes, even though they only made 3 more.
Right.
It's volume. It's
volume. Here's some irony. Quentin Post had 0 3-pointers based on my recollection. It's the best game he's ever played as a professional player. and when people hear me talk about him, he played tonight how I envision him playing. Giving everything that you have physically, boxing out. This guy had over 10 rebounds. Why? Because he boxed people out. And he was relentless to the extent that he could be. And he was a major factor tonight. I loved how he gave effort. He was a physical factor tonight. I'm not a big, the guy can shoot 3-pointers. That's great. But this is how you win playoff games, by exhibiting physicality, getting in there and doing whatever you need to do to help your team win. He did that tonight.
Yeah, he did. And, I was mentioned just before you came on, what I loved about Post tonight was that he was sagging off Sagoon, making Sagoon shoot the 12 to 15 footer if he was going to shoot it, so that he could help if somebody drove to the hoop. And then he would just put his hands straight up, and he was affecting guys' shots. Jalen Green was not able to make and finish some of these shots because Post was there, and he wasn't, leaving his feet and putting his hands out, which they always call the foul.
Right.
The game was just, this is kind of like you said, Frank. It's what I told Ryan earlier in the week. I said, or maybe yesterday, whatever it was, I said, Kerr gets his guys ready for home games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does on the road too, but especially home games. They want to hold home court. So they need to win Monday. And we'll see if Jimmy's a go or not. But what was your take tonight? Jonathan Kuminga started, which I thought he would. And he had some good moments, and then he had some not so good moments. Overall, what was your feeling? They seemed like they really gelled in the last quarter half when he was off the floor.
I think that was just matchups. That was just Kerr being the mad scientist that he is with his matchups. I don't think it had anything to do with Kuminga. I thought Kuminga was solid tonight. He wasn't great, but he was not bad. I thought that his mentality was focused on defense, and he did a hell of a job. Jalen Green had 38 points the last game. Tonight, I mean, he maybe had 12? I don't know how many he had. But
Post?
No, Jalen Green.
Oh, how many points?
Yeah.
Jalen Green finished with where is it? 9.
Yeah, he didn't have 12. So and Jonathan Kuminga, when he was in the game, was guarding Jalen Green quite a bit. And just to know that was his primary responsibility and go out there and actually do it on the court, I thought was a major factor, because when the Warriors were not making any shots and Houston was starting to extend the game, their defense kept them in it. And they had a rally late in the second quarter to come within 2 points. So a lot of people get on Jonathan Kuminga. He just looks like a young player to me who has not played, who had the fortune of playing for a great organization. But if he had to play for some bad teams, over a period of time, he would figure some things out. So I thought he was solid tonight. Not great, not bad, but just solid and contributive to the success that they ultimately had to win the game.
Yeah, and I think Kuminga, he had his moments on offense. He did a couple of tornado spin moves where he was able to lay things up. And even though he missed some of those, I'll say this: the threat of him being able to do that made Houston have to be play a little more honest with their trapping of Steph at that time, because if they kept trapping Steph and got it to Kuminga, if Kuminga can figure a way to go in with a little more authority and a little more confidence in that shot, where if he goes up and pumps once and then just goes right back, and he was kind of pumping, and he, got stuck in the key, didn't know what to do. He's going to help in this series, because if he becomes that threat where he can get a lot of layups like GP2 did,
right?
If he could do that, oh man, that ruins their game plan to trap Steph. And
no, I thought he played pretty good, and I'm looking forward to how he builds off of this game, because like you said, I mean, he ran the court, had a real nice layup opportunity. Draymond threw the ball behind him, and the ball flies out of bounds. He would have easily scored that basket. That was a bad pass. So I mean, hey man, when you play playoff games, your focus has to be on winning, whatever it takes to win. And Kerr, to me, Stephen was the biggest star, but I would say Steve Kerr was right up there, because he had a game plan, he had a philosophy, and he executed, and he had his players ready to do it. So he takes a lot of heat sometimes, but you know what? He outcoached Ime Udoka this game. I thought Kerr drove the ship and got him to the finish line. And, the great player that Stephen Curry was just the best player on the court, and that's why they won.
Yeah. It was, overall, I mean, you look at the Warriors, on the boards, Quentin Post led the way with 12. Draymond had 8. Curry had 7 and Curry had 9 assists and 36 points. And he could have scored more, I think, but he didn't force it. He didn't force his way trying to shoot, threes that he could have taken more, but they would have been very contested. He was content on working the offense, taking what was the defense was given. He'd get it over to Pate or to GP2, and bingo. Or even Draymond had one nice drive, I think I recall, where he laid it up, but he was not having a good first half. Draymond was missing shots, turning the ball over, but he made up for it at the end with his defense. And Draymond, I think he only shot 1 or 2 3-pointers that I remember. Oh, he was 0 for 4. He must have been all early, because I don't remember too many late. 0 for 4. Post, like you mentioned, he was 0 for 3. His shot was, but it was his best game. Pods was 1 for 6. Buddy Hield 5 for 11. Yeah. And they were all big. And Payton 2 for 3. Moody, his were, he had 1 or 2 of them. It looked like they were down and it went in and out.
Yeah.
But
he made a big one.
Hey, how about was it? I think it might have been Draymond's 3 from the corner. He didn't get it off in time before the 24-second, and they didn't call it. And the Warriors got the ball out of bounds. Did anybody notice that?
I did not.
Did you notice that, Lou?
Yeah,
I heard the buzzer go off before the ball left his hand.
Yeah, they didn't. One of the things I wanted to say is Moody might not have overall stats. He had a couple shots going in and out in the second half, but he kept us in it the first half. Mm-hmm. Without Moody in the first half, we're down 20. I mean, he was hustling. He got a couple nice rebounds. So, I know you always speak highly of Moody, but you got to give him credit, because without him in the first half, it's different going into halftime.
Yeah, no, he was solid. I mean, solid from the standpoint that he wasn't afraid. He was supposed to be on the court. I mean, anytime that Moody goes down in the paint and gets those tough twos, I love that, because you can become defined and kind of isolated just as a perimeter shooter. And sometimes you're not going to make shots. You still got to be productive. You still got to get points. And this is Moody's defining year to really think the game, to say, you know what? I got open space in front of me. I'm going to have to attack a body to get 2 points, but I'm going to do it. And his defense has risen, 30, 40% better than it ever was before? So he's a vital cog for Kerr. Even when he's not making perimeter shots, he's still a very effective player.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Monday's going to be a very, very tough game. Houston's going to be desperate, and the Warriors are going to have to match or exceed their intensity. They're going to have to come out and know that it's going to be similar to game 2, and they're going to have to show up with their defense. So now, Frank, Lou had mentioned before, I think you might have come on or just coming on, that he thinks that maybe the Warriors should play the long game instead of, and maybe sit Buddy or sit Jimmy one more game. Yeah. And what do you think? I mean, he's barely walking, it sounds like, according to the reports, that he's just, that's a deep glute muscle that, that's one of your biggest muscles, I think, you need for movement, jumping, everything. What do you think?
I think it's a medical thing. I mean, my college coach told me when I was really young, or maybe a freshman, and he said there's 2 things. You can play hurt, you can't play injured. If your body has to heal, it has to heal, because you're not going to be very effective when you're on the court, and you might injure yourself more. So nobody knows Jimmy Butler's body better than he does, and you have the scientific evidence to draw those conclusions. So I want him to play if he's healthy, but if he's injured, then he can't play. The thing that worries me, like you said, Dan, is the Warriors tonight played a lot on adrenaline, toughness and adrenaline. And, these officials are going to put that whistle deep down in their pocket on Wednesday night, on Monday night. I don't think the Warriors will get as many calls. I think they'll let the Houston defenders grab and hold Stephen more. So they're going to have to play a tough game to go up 3-1. Because if you up 3-1, most of the time you win the series. This is the number 2 seed. Right. We thought the Warriors would win, but this is the number 2 seed. So their owners, their coaches, everybody associated with that organization is going to be on those officials and calling the NBA saying, listen, give us a fair shot. This is
interesting. Yeah, D-Loading said if it was up to Jimmy, he would have played. The Warriors staff wanted to be precautionary and let him get the few days extra rest, which I think is wise.
Yeah.
Because from here on out, game 4 is Monday, game 5 is Wednesday, game 6 is Friday, game 7 Sunday. So it's every other day now, with travel in between. If they got to go 5, 6, 7, it's it's going 5, but if they're going to go 6, 7, it's just travel back and forth.
They knew they could win game 3. They knew it.
I think they did too. I predicted they'd win tonight. I said the other night they will win game 3 even if Jimmy doesn't play. And I thought Kuminga might play a little bit bigger role, but he also, and I think it was smart for Kerr to start him, to get him going.
I agree.
And that's why I said I think he'll start, and it gets him into the flow of the game quicker and knocks off some of the rust, the nerves. So I think if Jimmy sits, I'd start him again, just to, even though he wasn't that great. Kuminga's a guy that gets better as he gets his motor revved up and he gets the flow of the game. It's really hard to get into a game when you haven't played in a long time. I can remember sitting the bench at times playing in high school, and then you get thrown into the game after you sat 2 or 3 games, and it's like you're just a little rusty, you're a little nervous because you want to impress the coach. You press a little too much, and then you make one mistake, like Buddy dribbling tonight.
Oh my God!
you're
my
gone.
God. Oh,
You're
man.
gone. And so you don't have as long of a leash with the coaches if you're not one of the guys. So
No, know what the biggest challenge for young players? That's why Amen and Amir Thompson are so unique, and they're so respected by NBA coaches. And I mean, those guys are going to be really solid NBA players for a long period of time. The biggest adjustment that these young guys have to make is playing with contact. They're just not used to it. You play in the summer league, you play in these little, these bullshit leagues, and you're a superstar. The referees are a little intimidated. They call fouls. In the big boy league, in this league, that's why I love young players to watch this game. How the playoffs look now is how they played. You guys know this. In the 90s and the 80s, this was every game. This was the level of physicality that players had to play with. Jonathan Kuminga is a year or two away from understanding I need to be impervious to this contact. He's not there yet. And then the officials look at him and say, you know what? Stop complaining to me. You're a soft player. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I want to see you go out there and earn it. As he gets there, you're going to see his ascension as a player. But right now, he's playing big boy minutes in primetime games in front of the world. That's not easy to do. That's pretty hard.
yes, I agree. And I think the Warriors they would have buried Houston tonight if their 3-point shots were falling. If they hit closer to 40%, they're making 4 or 5 more threes,
right,
at least, and the game's doubled. I mean, what was the final 104-93? Yeah, it would have been like 115-93. The Warrior, but they didn't hit. So I'm thinking if they come out and they can shoot close to 40% from 3 on Monday and play the same level of intense defense, I think they can, it might still be a very, very close game, but the difference of those threes going down might be, more of a little bit of a cushion for the Warriors where let me say it this way, they may need those threes to go down to win. They may not be able to win another ugly game.
What do you think about game 4, Lou?
Before you got on, I thought Houston sort of blew it tonight. This was a game. I thought the worst thing that happened is they got an early lead. They were up 9-11. They were controlling the first half. And then the refs sort of changed their calls a little bit. And the Warriors adapted. Houston didn't. And, if I were Houston, I'd say, hey, we let this one get away. And if you're the Warriors, I thought the Warriors played just enough to win. I didn't think it was their best game. I thought what Dan brings up about 3-pointers, I thought we shot way too many 3-pointers in the first half. And when you're not hitting, it just was sort of dragging on. It was 9, and then, they got down to 3 and then back to 7, 9, 13. But Houston had a chance to blow them out in the first half, and the Warriors hung around. And then, the one good thing about Kerr is their coaches, they really adapt at halftime, and they change it. And I thought this was a game where Steph's going to do his thing, but you could see he was exhausted. But I thought our bench outplayed Houston. And when that happens, you're going to win. So, for game 4, I think what's going to happen is they got to stay close, probably the first quarter, maybe first quarter and a half. Don't let Houston get what they want. And then I'm not going to be worried, and that's, one of the things about the Warriors is, we're going to have games, but I thought tonight, if you looked, GP2 in the fourth quarter sort of did what we pay him for. He was a huge difference maker. And, without him, who knows what happens. But, I think we're fine. I think winning this game, Houston, you got to remember, they won game 2. They, felt super confident. Butler's not in. They figured, all right, guys, we got this up 11. And they sort of choked, and the Warriors got it. And the Warriors aren't going to let them up. And, I think the Warriors, just do not – just stay close early And then I think with our bench, which I believe is better, I think we're going to come through on game 4. And hey, Frank, did you happen to see? Oh, sorry, Dan. I wanted to ask one question about Frank. Did you happen to see the very end of the game? Did something happen with Green and what's name? I'm reading this. I didn't see the very end.
Yeah, I saw. They were just kind of japping back and forth.
Just jacking. Okay.
Probably saying disrespectful things.
Yeah.
But,
Green and who?
Jalen Green.
And who else?
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. Right at mid-court after. I didn't see it. They were just talking so.
Yeah, these guys can get really disrespectful towards each other. They really can.
I would like to see the Warriors actually, you mentioned stay close, Lou. I'd actually like to see the Warriors get a fast start and get ahead. I mean, you're home. I'd like to see the Warriors have an, 8-10 point lead after the first quarter and then push it to 12-14 at the break. Make Houston, because if you can get ahead of Houston, they're not a scoring team. They're not a team that scores with ease. So I'd like to see the Warriors blitz them. But let's bring in D-Loading, get his thoughts to the game tonight. Welcome, D-Loading.
That was an incredible game. Just to touch on the thing Lou was talking about, Jalen Green went over to Draymond and clearly said something. And then it looked like Draymond motioned at him to go paint his fingernails. And then they kind of got separated.
I thought he was pointing at his ring finger.
And then that's when Jalen. Sorry, Frank. What were you saying?
I thought he was pointing at his ring finger, saying like I got ring.
No, I think I think
maybe
you're
right
saying like go paint your nails.
That's funny. I love it.
Yeah, don't let these young guys poke the bear. Especially Steph. You get. Who was it that Dylan Brooks called out Draymond Green the other day and said he's a dirty player?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Coming from Brooks, that's pretty amazing. Oh wow.
Both of those guys need stuff to rev them up, though. I mean, Draymond's a Hall of Famer, but Dylan Brooks. I tell you what, man. I mean, as somebody who had ML Carr vibes, he's a better player than ML Carr. I mean, this guy is a pretty darn good pro. So, I give him credit. He was a second-round pick.
Yeah, his shots actually improved. He used to have a lot. He used to brick a lot of shots. He's a little bit better. He's got a decent fadeaway, and yeah. So, D-Loading, what was your thoughts on this game? What was the difference? The difference tonight.
The difference. Honestly, I thought Post played incredible. Not only his rebounding, because he had a ton of plays that wouldn't even show up in the box score of him just boxing out their tallest guys and letting his teammates around him get the rebounds, just some tip plays, just jumping straight up on defense on Amen Thompson and all those guards in the low post and just forcing them into tougher shots. I thought he was incredible. And then Payton coming in the fourth quarter just completely flipped the game. Steph gets so much attention on those doubles once they get the screener up top. And for Payton to just consistently finish all those plays, just completely flipped the game. And it was great.
Yeah, there was a couple of there was some real physical plays out there tonight. We saw Pods that looked like he got hit maybe right in the noggin again, in the nose, or right. I thought, oh, shoot, I hope he didn't break it, or anything. And then you saw Kuminga. He went in for a shot, and it looks like he got it in the midsection. They never showed the replay to see exactly what happened. And then I saw Amen Thompson. No, not Jalen Green at the end of the game. He was doubled over, like he got hit somewhere in the gut. And I was thinking, man, this is not for the faint of heart, man.
Before that, Payton just ran over Brooks on the screen.
Oh, yes, that was beautiful. That was great. Just, you know what? If you're going to take a foul, take a good one.
Yeah. Listen, we thought that this potentially particularly in the Western Conference, might be among some of the best playoffs that we've ever seen. And so far, so good. It's lived up to it. I think all the action. I mean, I can never imagine myself looking at the Denver Nuggets and the Clippers and going, you know what? That was actually interesting to watch. That's been a great series. The Minnesota Lakers has been a great series. The Warriors versus Houston is a great series. I mean, the intensity level of all the games to me is what's really been exciting to watch. It really has, man.
Let me ask you something, because we see this series with Denver and the Clippers. It's even at 2. It's been one game, then one, rotating back and forth. If the Lakers win tomorrow against the T-Wolves, and that series goes 2-2, does each series stand on its own, or do you think there's any kind of I think it must stand on its own, right? I mean, OKC's throttled. Didn't they just sweep? Did they
What do you
end
mean
up
by that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Well, like, I guess I'm answering my own question as I ask it. I was starting to think, does the league play a role in trying to make these things? But I don't think it is. I think
I
it
don't
just
think so.
I think it's each series to its own.
Yeah.
Denver today was up 22 points, 16 at the start of the fourth quarter, and the Clippers came roaring back, and it looked like they might take it. And then that was just the wildest ending, because it was almost similar to, a lot of people may not remember this, the Lorenzo Charles, North Carolina State dunk, but this one was in a 1/1000th of a second. I mean, you literally had one screen where his fingertips are still on the ball and the light's not off or on, and then the very next still shot, it's this much off of his fingertips and the light's on.
Yeah, it was so close that the camera angle that they had didn't have enough frames to show when it actually didn't stop touching his finger. That's how close it was.
Yeah. But it also wasn't the ball. Well, I guess it wasn't completely through the net. It has to go through the net to be good, right?
No, it just has to be not touching his finger.
Yeah, it's got to be released.
But I know, but a shot itself has to go through the net to be called good, right? It can't go in and out.
Through the rim.
Through the rim or through the net?
Yeah, through the rim.
No, because you see balls that go in and out all the time on 3-point shots and stuff like that.
Well, if he shot it from half court and the ball was in the air as the buzzer went off, it still would have counted.
Yeah,
yes.
But he was dunking, so he literally had to release the ball.
Right.
Yeah. Even though it was in the hoop.
What I'm getting at is, if his hands were still on the ball and the ball was through the net, does that count? Because the ball...
he hasn't released it yet.
Wow.
That's why there was so much...
It's all about when his fingers stopped touching it.
Yeah, that was so crazy. Yeah. And, man, what a way to lose it for the Clippers. I mean, Jokic was actually... He's so smart. I think it was a shot, but you question it.
It was a fadeaway.
But
you know what? Nope. It was but nobody screamed out. Gordon. Nobody. So right place, right time.
Yeah. I mean, he is so fortunate he got that thing. I mean, that was just so close. If there was oh wow.
And remember, they would have been down 3-1.
Yep.
So now it's 2-2.
Yeah, the West is so tight and evenly matched. I mean, how many games did the Rockets win? 52?
52.
And then the Lakers won what, like 49? Or did they win 50? Okay. And then the Warriors, wait a minute. T-Wolves won 49 too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the Warriors were 48, and the Clippers had won.
No, the Warriors and Minnesota were tied, wasn't it? No. You're right. No. You're right, because they got the 6th seed. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, Dan.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, the only thing that, like, in my opinion, the seeding in this Western Conference, besides outside the OKC, who's the 1 seed, it doesn't matter because so many of these teams had switch ups like in the middle of the year. Like taking the Warriors record, having those first 3 months of the season compared to the last 2, like the team's completely different. You more so have to look at the record with Jimmy Butler because the team has had such a drastic change. Same with the Clippers with Kawhi coming back and playing at the level he's playing at, and then the Lakers too. It's almost difficult looking at the records and comparing these teams based on that compared to like
Let me ask you
post
guys
trade
this.
deadline.
Are the Lakers a better team with Luka, or were they better with Anthony Davis?
What do you think, Lou?
They have no center. That's why Minnesota's been dominating them. I mean, I know Luka was sick the other day, but I mean, they're getting out rebounded like by 16, 18 games. I personally, bet Minnesota to beat the Lakers because the Lakers really are living, dying by the outside shot. And, when you don't have that real inside presence, it comes out in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to find out what your weakness is, and they're going to go after it every single time until you adapt. Just like the Warriors, that Houston's double teaming, double, triple teaming Curry. And if they're not getting the ball in the middle and getting a break from it, they're going to do it 4 guys the next time. And that was the one good thing today is, Curry kept seeing it, so they had to adapt. And then when he got the ball, he, had a little freedom. He didn't really force shots. And, I think in the playoffs, it's really about adapting and going after, the problem. Like, if you watch today, and what's weird about these playoffs today, OKC found out that Memphis wasn't playing their best player, right? He's out. So what do? They put their guard down. They let Memphis stay in, and Memphis almost won the game. And you got to go in because these guys, I think, as Frank says a lot, these guys play for pride. These teams, the hardest game is when you're up 3-0 because they don't want to get swept at home. And, they're NBA players, so it's one of those things. I just think it's, personally, I don't think the Lakers are as good because they don't really have a center. And that wasn't really the Lakers' fault. If you remember, they got a center and then it didn't work out. So it's just, one of those things, and it's tough. They live and die. And, Luka was sick the other day and LeBron had a great game, but when it counted, he sort of faded. And the other thing, Frank, I wanted, and then I'll let you speak. I didn't like what LeBron did. He leaves early before the game ends when they lost at home. I mean, at Minnesota, it's like, what are you doing?
I didn't notice that.
He left with 1.2 seconds left by himself, and he went in the locker room while the game was still going.
Tends to do that a lot.
Yeah,
that's
a LeBron move.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. We all talk about the Pistons when their whole team left. I'm just saying, if LeBron is the greatest, you got, you have an act to follow. Just don't embarrass the league.
Well, here's the real conversation that I think smart basketball people will have down the road. Nico Harrison has gotten obliterated in Dallas. They talk about Luka like he's Jesus. Like he is the guy, he took him to the finals. Was Kyrie Irving on the team? I don't know. I forgot. I don't know. I mean, it's just, and I mean, Luka is a great player, right? But the bottom line is he was getting cooked by Ant-Man last night.
Yeah.
He was getting cooked.
Defense,
he got cooked in LA. And I'm like, what are you fans, what are you commentators looking at? I mean, Anthony Davis's biggest challenge is he gets hurt a lot. I mean, he's not an old guy. He just gets hurt a lot. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? The bottom line is they didn't want to pay Luka $350 million.
Right. And they don't think that, I heard from some people that whether this is true or not, they think that he's not committed to really getting in great shape and that he's a kind of a drinker and a smoker.
Yeah,
And
I mean, yo, that
they don't think his
350
body will
million is
last that long.
that money's guaranteed.
Right.
And
So, I get tired of the narrative. Nico is a complete idiot, and Luka's going to go. I mean, wait, the Lakers are lucky they got LeBron. What's going to happen when that guy retires and it's just
Yeah.
Luka?
that's a great point. The only thing that because Dallas, I think, would have been seriously good if Kyrie stayed healthy.
I picked
With
him to win
him,
the championship with
I know. They would have been
when they made that
legitimately
trade.
good. The only issue that I think, because Frank's right, but not shopping that trade to other teams and getting way more for Luka, I think, is the biggest disgrace from that. Not necessarily the trade itself, but not getting enough for Luka.
Here's the problem, though, with that. Wink, wink. Do you think that Adam Silver didn't know that he was going to go to the Lakers? Do you think he doesn't? I mean, do you think
I'm
they
on
don't
that
want
train
him in
with you
there?
too.
I mean, come on, man.
No,
I mean,
100%.
this is the Black Book NBA.
I'm with you on that.
I mean, give me a break. They want Luka in LA for
Of
ratings.
course they do. And I can tell you another thing. ESPN gave up baseball, right?
Yeah.
Because they're focused on basketball. Where is ESPN Studios? Like right next to across the street from what do they call it now? Crypto used to be the Forum. Yeah, it's ESPN's right there. You don't think ESPN has some stay in all this? They want.
Did you hear the announcers the other
in LA.
night commentating that game when the Lakers were losing? They were hurt. Like the announcers on ESPN, they had Jay Bilas on there, who's been interviewing Braun since he's been in high school. They were seriously upset when the Lakers were losing the other night on the broadcast.
It's crazy because, I don't think the Lakers are as good. I asked the question because defensively, Anthony Davis was like, you want to talk about defensive player of the year. When that guy's healthy, that guy's as good as anybody on defense, man. The Warriors would never beat the Lakers with Anthony Davis.
That's the biggest thing. He was the main reason we couldn't beat him the last few years. And the thing with that team is, say they get past Minnesota, which I don't think they will. I picked Minnesota to win, but if they do get past Minnesota, all of the Lakers players outside of Luka are expending so much energy picking up his lack of defense. Just getting rotationally down low, helping him on switches. They're wasting so much energy because his defense is so awful that wears on the players.
That's why LeBron left. Because listen, man, Ant-Man is not Jordan, but that's what Jordan did. Jordan did stuff like that on a routine basis. Just like look at the guy in front of him and say, "Come on, are you serious? I'm getting ready to cook you." And Anthony Edwards at this point is making fun of Luka on television. They're crown prince. I mean, they can't stop that guy. They can't stop him.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Luka is known around the league with the players. They won't come out and all say it, but the inside joke is he's just a cone on defense. He doesn't move. And he's not in great shape. You remember when the Warriors beat him in 22? He was just gassed, and they could just run circles around him. And the fact that they got to the NBA championship last year was pretty wild because, you saw his performance in the NBA Finals. He didn't play any defense, and Boston cooked him.
Yeah.
And, I like Luka as far as he's a great offensive talent, but I get where Nico Harrison was coming from because you're going to pay a guy $350 million and he's not. What if he's not in great shape now? Why is he going to get in better shape when he gets $350 guaranteed?
Mm-hmm.
For 5 years?
For
5 years, he's making $70 million a year.
Yeah. I saw a stat earlier. I just looked it up because I wanted to bring it up. It pertains to this conversation. So Luka's guarded Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards for 26 minutes in that series through 3 games. Through those 26 minutes, both of them have scored 53 total points on 68% true shooting. Anytime they get Luka on defense, they are destroying them. It's not even close. And if you don't think the Minnesota knows that and are just going to exploit that tomorrow, then
Oh,
it's going to be unreal.
you know, back in the championship years, the early championship years of the Warriors, 15 was the first year, right? 16. Do you remember the talk about Steph was he's kind of a liability on defense?
Mhm.
That dude muscled up, worked on his craft, and said, I'm going to be not just an adequate defensive player, but I'm going to be a good defensive player.
Mhm.
He's a good defensive player now, Steph.
He had
And
a great game
doesn't get
tonight
pushed.
playing defense. He was awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to just point out is tonight the commentators were talking about Steph, how far he's run, or like a mile and a half, 2 miles he's put on, how much he runs around the court in a game. I would love to get the mileage of guys like Luka and LeBron and Harden. How many miles do these guys move in a game? I bet Steph's 3-1.
And the knock on Steph early, like how you're talking, it wasn't that he wasn't trying on defense. It's just that he was incapable of sometimes holding
He's
his
too
own
small.
against some of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's
that's
too small.
why he bulked up, like you said. Luka on some of these plays is just not even trying. He's just letting guys blow past him.
Yeah.
Because he's conserving his energy for his offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I think I've made this point before. And it's why I think Giannis is such a unique player. And I don't know what his background is. But where some American players, and I think it's true, lack fundamentals when they're young, the level of intensity that our players play with is unlike anything in the world. And sometimes it takes players from Europe and outside of the United States borders to get used to that. Because guys over here, they play with maximum intensity when it matters. Like it matters right now. And Luka, hey man, Luka's incredible. What an incredible talent. But Luka's been playing that way since he started playing basketball. He thinks that the way he plays basketball is perfectly fine. And it's not. It's not against American super ego, bravado-oriented players who really believe, the best players always believe that you win because of defense. That's what they're taught, from a young age. I don't think Luka quite believes that. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. Basketball, Luka gets, to me, it's a crime that Steph hasn't got more, first team all pros. When Luka gets it for his offensive numbers, he doesn't even hardly contribute on the defensive end. He gets some rebounds. He gets rebounds because he's big bodied and he's down there low, and he's going to get those. And plus, you could see the difference between a regular season game and a playoff game. Guys aren't flying for those rebounds, offensive rebounds in game 27, and 32. And, they don't really start playing playoff basketball until the last couple weeks of the season for the teams that are trying to get into the playoffs and get a position. It's two totally different games. That's why I picked the when they made that trade for Anthony Davis, I thought, shoot, Dallas has got Lively coming back, and they've got Gafford coming back. They're going to be so tall and lengthy, and then they're going to have Kyrie, and then if Clay, that's going to open up more for Clay. And I just thought, not a bad pick,
That's a really solid team without the injuries.
Yeah. I would have not wanted to play them in the playoffs if they were full 100%. I think they would have been really, really a tough out. So I pick, I think anybody can win it in the West. I mean, but the Warriors have a good shot. Obviously, OKC. The Clippers, to me, are really tough to beat. And then Minnesota is, I think that Minnesota meets if Minnesota meets well, I guess if we win this series, the Warriors, we would play the winner, right? Of the
Yeah.
Lakers.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is great that if that thing goes 6 or 7, and they beat each other up as well. But whoever wins against the Denver and the Clippers, that's going to be a heck of a matchup. And you hope that goes 7 against OKC and that, the Warriors can somehow win this series against Houston. If the Warriors can win Monday night, it's such a crucial game because if the Warriors lose, they can't win it but in 6, and that's going to be very tough to do because they're going to game 5 will be in Houston.
Right.
So if they can win tomorrow or Monday night, they might be able to put away, if Jimmy's healthy, they might be able to win it. They might be able to win it in 5, but I'm not saying it's a gimme that they win Monday. It's going to be a very tough game. Very tough.
I think so.
I just think if you can, what do you guys think of this? This is what I said earlier. If they can focus on getting a lead on Houston, I think they've got a better shot of making Houston force, some shots because they're not a great scoring team. I'd love to see. The Warriors haven't been like, what was it? Game 1, they were up pretty good. They got up pretty good, but Houston still is taking the lead through the first quarter for the most part. If the Warriors can come out, the old Warriors, they came out this type of game, when I say the old Warriors, the championship Warriors, they would bury this team Monday night. Just bury them, right? They would come out and make it a statement game, and it would be, 20-point lead at half, and then they'd finish them off in the third. But this team's not made like those teams. But I know that's what Kerr desire and focus is to try to really put teams away early, young teams too at home, because you get the crowd into it, you get them, but I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think Monday night? What's your take on Monday night?
I mean, you got to keep the turnovers down. I thought in the second half, they played flawlessly. They made a lot of winning plays. If they have a high number of turnovers, it's going to be tough because I don't think the Warriors are going to shoot well outside of Curry, and he might not even shoot well. This is going to be a team. This is going to be a game about defensive percentages and rebounding and sharing the basketball. I mean, you watch Houston tonight. I mean, they are really good defensively. The Warriors took that game tonight. I mean, so I think they're going to rev their defense up more. I think the officials will allow them to play with more contact. And I think it's kind of the survival of the fittest. It's the team that makes the fewest mistakes, I think, is going to win.
It's a good take. Very good take. Turnovers. Yes. The Warriors can limit the turnovers. Tonight, the Warriors' turnovers were kept to 10, which was amazing because there was about 8 of them in the first half, it seemed like.
Yep.
Who did Draymond have?
Draymond had 5.
Mm-hmm.
Steph had 2. Kuminga had 1. Buddy had 2. My favorite was
Buddy getting ripped by Steven Adams. I almost put my fist through the wall. That was horrible.
Buddy, what are you doing? I mean, on the other hand, the Rockets, they had 14 turnovers.
Yeah.
So
not winning basketball.
Yeah, you want to keep those turnovers to 10 or under. And I mean, the Warriors are pretty tough to beat if they keep the turnovers to less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let me see. Okay, thanks, Mark. I'll check that out. Let me check that out. he said he sent me something on Twitter. Okay.
Lou, what do you think the biggest thing they have to do on Monday is to take it? Oh, you're muted.
Just got to play smart basketball. Like I said, I thought the first quarter and maybe first half, the Warriors didn't play well tonight. Mentally, they didn't. A lot of dumb turnovers. They let Houston control the game. And for the Warriors to win, you got to have Houston. The Warriors to win, got to have Houston play their game, not the other way around. And I thought maybe early in this game, the Warriors really too many 3-pointers. It seemed like, they weren't hitting them. And, you got to remember, when you miss a 3-pointer and the opposing team gets the rebound, it's almost like a 3-2, 3-1 break. And, the other thing, too, is if you notice the game, what's the name? The point guard was the only guy shooting for Houston. And we were still letting him go. Yeah, Van Bleek, who's got winning pedigree. But, it seemed like he had an open shot every time. It's like, Warriors, think of the personnel out there that can hurt you. And
we should have.
They adapted and they took over. But that's what I think. Just stay because Houston's going to go all out because they know they can't go down 3-1 and win this series. So stay close, get a lead, and the crowd's got to be into it from day one. I thought the crowd tonight was sort of weak until the late second half.
Sean's actually in the air from heading home from Hawaii, and he's got Starlink on the plane. And Sean, I just put the link in the chat, man. It would be cool to have. I've never had somebody flying in an airplane join the show. That would be really cool. I don't know if it works. The link. He got to watch. What a great flight that is, man. You get to watch a basketball game coming home from Hawaii. That's killer, man. I was flying home from China on October 31st or October 30th or 31st, whatever date it was, Game 7 of 2014 World Series, Giants, Royals. And I'm like just flipping out on the plane, trying to figure out how I can get this game, just trying to get a score. It's I can't even remember what airlines it is, but it was obviously it was a foreign airline. I wasn't flying United or American, so they weren't concerned about the World Series. And I had no idea who won the game. We had this flight planned for, a couple of months, and I had no clue. And I get to the airport at LAX and I see somebody with a Giants hat and I go, what happened? And I found out, man, that was so cool to find out. But anyway, Sean, if you're able to, man, jump in, say hello. But he says Warriors win Monday night if Jimmy is back. If he's out, he thinks the Rockets win. That's simple. Not sure they can steal another game without Jimmy.
I tend to agree. I think Jimmy's back Monday, though. I think this was more so of a gamble of being like, we think we can steal this one without Jimmy, give him the extra 2 days rest, and he'll be back Monday regardless. That's what I kind of feel like it was. So I do think he'll be back Monday.
Yeah, I got the feeling too. They didn't really announce this until an hour before game time, roughly.
Yeah.
And it changed all the odds.
The odds,
FanDuel,
from 3.5 to 1.5.
And then FanDuel had to change all the individual players' point totals and everything. They shipped it down.
I bet it still.
Yeah.
Did you? Good. Good.
Hey, Dan Franken deloading. I have a question because, this really isn't talked about. We always talk about MVPs of the league. How is Butler not even getting listed? Because look what he's done to the Warriors. Look at the difference he's done with the defense and overall play with the Warriors. And look how it is without him, how we really, we sort of suffered tonight. I mean, yeah, we have Curry, but he's such a difference player. And I know he's known as playoff Jimmy. But, without him coming here, I don't think we would have been the same if we had KD. I mean, it was just such a perfect fit. And the whole entire, we were sort of looking for people to step up. With Butler in there, he basically brings everything together. how he wasn't even thought of. You know what I mean, Fred? I mean, he's that important to the team.
Well, one, you have to play 65 games
with
Oh,
the
hold
same
on
team
here.
or in the league.
65 in the league, and he sat out a bunch of games with Miami.
Yeah, but okay.
But this is cool. We got to get this. Bring Sean in before we lose him. He's in the airplane.
Yeah,
Is everybody sleeping? What's up, Sean?
That's pretty cool.
Look at the plane.
Wow.
That's cool. You got the window seat. Got to talk quietly because everybody's sleeping. We'll keep it quiet.
That's pretty cool.
Starling. And this is on Hawaiian Airlines, huh?
I think there's
All right. Okay. Unfortunately, you're cutting out, but hey, good to see you. Thanks for your. We'll see you maybe Monday night. All right, there he is on an airplane flying home from Hawaii. How cool is that, man? I have never flown. Yeah, I have. I should say I never. I've seen games in the air when it's on, ESPN or something, whatever the games are on. But that's pretty cool. That I guess if the game's on, you get you do get it. But so many places you don't get the true Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, just so you know, Virgin Airlines always had, since it's based here in California, always had Comcast Bay Area on. So even when Alaska buys them, one of their stations is this. So if you're ever traveling to like New York or Chicago and you take Alaska Airlines, which bought out Virgin, they always would have, the Giant games on or whatever on one of their channels just because it was based here, just, for future reference.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I was trying to pull this up in my Twitter, but I can find it on my phone, but I can't find Mark's the angle. But we'll have to skip that. But I was going to show the dunk, but you guys all saw it. It was.
Which dunk you talking about?
The one at the end of the game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that literally happened as the Warrior game was just about like seconds of tip off.
Yeah.
So
I think that was a big loss for the Clippers. I mean, because the Clippers are clearly a better team. And I mean, for Denver to steal that game on their home floor,
that gives them home court advantage back.
I mean,
they were gassed.
And they could win game 5. I mean, that was a monumental loss for the Clippers. It'll be interesting to see how they respond because they have no history of real success in the playoffs. They don't.
Clippers lose. Do they break that thing up?
I don't think so because they're they're older players. I don't think they're going to get equal value in return. It's just a big loss. It's just a bad look.
Yeah, it's a huge loss because Denver they were dead in the water. If that went to overtime, they would have lost that game. They were gassed. Not having Russ in there, like I know Russ has his faults, but they need his minutes because they just don't have enough off the bench.
What was he out for today?
I actually don't know, but I think they have 2 full days off. It's a 3-day gap between the next game, so Denver is going to be completely rested. This was a horrible loss for LA.
Well, Denver. Sean says they didn't steal it; they were up 22 points. Yeah, Denver came out and played well, but they, like you said, they were running out of gas, and Clippers started hitting. And I just think that I don't know, man. The officiating that I see. I thought Nikola Jokic, when he was driving, they called an offensive foul. I thought that was on Zubac, where he was going on the baseline and
the hook on the line.
They said he hooked him.
They gave him a makeup call right after.
Yeah, they did, and then he was
the
pissed
same
at that.
thing.
He was really pissed. you can't take. I don't know. And how about some of the calls tonight that let the couple of charges go? I want to show you guys a video real quick that I took off the TV. I'm going to show it to my slow motion camera. Didn't work that great because I didn't want to go. I could have got it if I would have started it earlier, but I want to show you the play here. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Here it is. Okay, watch his arm. Watch his right arm push him away. See it? See it extended?
Mhm.
Watch it. Look, that's an offensive foul. Now watch it here in slow motion. It's kind of blurry because it was, but watch his right hand push Moody back. Boom. Pushed him away. He just totally pushed it out. That's an offensive foul anytime you do that. You see that even in the NFL, a wide receiver that does that, always offensive interference when the arm extends. And they weren't calling nothing like that.
What Sean just said, that first three, like a minute into the game where Brooks just completely took out Curry, that was ridiculous. They didn't call that foul on Brooks to start the game. Both officials were looking right at it. He completely took away his landing space, ran him over, and they didn't call it to start the game. It was egregious.
I don't understand the league sometimes, and it makes me wonder if there's something that, I know the majority of the league's Nike and Steph went Under Armour, and it just seems like, why does he not get the calls and these other guys get the calls? I mean, think about this. You injure Steph Curry, let's say some flagrant foul out there, that rough shot play, and Steph gets injured and gets knocked out. You lose a ton of people interested in watching the Warriors play. And you're not talking just Warrior fans. I'm talking around the world that's watching these playoffs. Steph is the number one draw people want to see. I think he's a bigger draw than LeBron.
Worldwide,
I
think he is too. Yeah, I think he is.
And why
Definitely.
you wouldn't protect that guy I'm not saying, phantom calls, but call the obvious fouls or the ones that are pretty. I mean, how many shots does Shea Gilgeous-Alexander get a night from the free throw line? Double digits.
Here's the thing, Dan. I thought the referees actually did a pretty good job tonight. They were making some calls, but you got to also consider this. The officials are critiqued at a level that fans have no idea. All right? This league is evolving. This league has to continue to develop young stars. We all love Stephen Curry, but the league loves him too, but they realize that they got to prop some of these younger guys up that Stephen Curry is consistently beating. So they don't want to, so the officials don't want to be conveyed or looked upon as not calling a fair game or helping an aging star that should not be as good as he is. So they're constantly, I think, on that seesaw. Should I call this or should I not call this? And Stephen Curry never complains.
Right.
He's not a obnoxious player cursing, no, he doesn't do that. So they can not have the same level of repercussion that they might have with somebody else. So it's complicated why he doesn't get the calls that he should get.
Yeah. That it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Just the thing Frank said like a few minutes ago, every single Denver starter had more than 42 minutes played tonight, which just goes to the fact that they had to win that game.
Right.
Oh, yeah, they were gassed for sure.
Yeah, they're going for it.
Went overtime. Wow. I'm looking for Jimmy Butler's tweet. I don't see it. According to Ryan, maybe it's on his Instagram, which I'm not.
It's on his Instagram. I saw it.
What did he say?
He posted a picture of like the bat symbol, but instead of the bat symbol, it's like Steph Curry's three-pointer thing. And then he said, "Thanks, Batman and team besides Buddy."
Yeah.
That's Jimmy
Him and-
Butler. We were waiting for this Jimmy, right? This is who he is.
Him and Buddy have a thing going back
That
and
is
forth.
funny. That is so funny.
I know it's in good fun.
Oh yeah, I love it.
You know, Buddy
They're
knows
definitely
that,
friends.
But
Oh, yeah.
Buddy says, did you hear his comment about a month ago when
No.
Jimmy got a triple-double or something? And he says something about triple-double or something. And Butler was, or Buddy was making a little fun of it. And Jimmy says, I know you ain't getting no triple-double. You don't pass enough.
I mean, they must really like Buddy Hield. He must be a pretty decent guy because, I mean, he would just he would make these guys so mad they could fry egg on their heads. I mean, based on some of the plays that he makes, it's just and then he'll make a miraculous 3-point shot and act like it's a bag of shells. You know.
Hey, speaking of Buddy, he did some
guy,
great things tonight with the 3-pointers. But how about the huge offensive rebound he came up with flying into toward the bucket?
Yeah,
that was huge.
That was
I think it turned. Did it not turn into a bucket after that? I think it did, if I recall. I'm trying to
was
remember.
that the?
Let me look.
Was it Gary Payne corner shot?
I'm going to look that up right now. I'm going to see because that was in the fourth quarter, wasn't it?
I think so.
I'm going to.
I think Steph earlier in the year said Buddy was one of his favorite teammates he's ever had too. He must be just super likable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a real likable guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look up and see if I can find this.
I think because he says things that are kind of hokey. You know, they look at him and go, "Really? Is this guy? Did he say that?" And he's all doing it in great fun with this big smile on his face. And I mean, these guys are all grizzled veterans. They've seen everything, but Buddy Hield probably hasn't. You know, so they're probably just enlightened by the guy. You know, they hate him sometimes for what he does, but they love him as a person. You know.
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen somebody step on the end line as much as Buddy Hield has in one season. I've never seen that before.
Wiggins got close. He did that a lot too.
That's amazing.
Another thing I saw was that Jalen Green, 20 minutes ago in his post game about Draymond. He said he can't really do much of anything else, so talking is his only way about Draymond. Which say that, but in a game where you only had 2 more points than Draymond is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, you need a better comeback line than that.
Yeah.
You had 38 points the last game. Tonight you had 9. I mean, come on, dude. Come on.
Kuminga just completely took him out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't win if you only score 9 points on your team that can't shoot. Come on. You know?
Yeah. I definitely think Kuminga is going to have to play minutes, some 10 to 20 minutes again, just for his defense. And I think he'll be able to get more into the flow offensively just because he got some minutes tonight that were meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, GP2 just basically took over that role in the second half, and he played his ass off. I'm going to say this too. Not that he can check him the whole game, but GP2 checks Anthony Edwards better than anybody in the NBA. I mean, when it counts, in 4 5-minute intervals.
Yeah.
You know,
he's
GP2,
played him really well this year.
He's played him really well. He really has. So Steve Kerr knows that he has these secret weapons that no one else knows about, and he can use these puzzle pieces to beat and play against really, really good teams. So Kerr probably feels pretty confident right now. You know, Butler's hurt. He doesn't like that. But I think he would be really, really disappointed if they couldn't get past Houston.
Okay, here was the moment. It was Houston leading 60-59 in the third quarter with 4:17 to go. Steph missed a running pull-up jump shot, Buddy comes crashing in for the rebound, and then Buddy tried a little 5-point putback, and it got blocked by Eason. Warriors rebounded it. Then I guess, or maybe it went out of bounds. They call it a rebound because Steven Adams entered the game, so there had to be a dead ball. So, and then 5 seconds later, Curry made a 3-pointer and put him up 62-60, and Buddy assisted. So that was a really critical moment of the game because it was, Rockets were up by 1, and then Buddy comes in. Buddy's, for a guy that has really had kind of a reputation of being kind of a aloof or whatever, just he's a guy that actually, at least he's hustling. I mean, he seems to be playing with more intensity this year than he ever has in his career because he knows if he doesn't, he's not going to get the minutes. Whereas he was on other teams, he'd still get the minutes because he was only, he was their big shooter.
Right.
So I don't like seeing Buddy on the road, though. I don't like seeing him in games. He rarely hits shots, and Buddy on the road misses a couple shots. If he's in, get him out.
Yeah.
But at home, the guy's
plays better.
That's why I said the other night, I said to look for Buddy Hield to hit 4 3-pointers tonight, and
you should have bet it.
I did. I didn't even think about it. Did he
have 4 or did he have 3?
He had 5.
He had 5 3-pointers. Yeah, right. He was 5 for 11, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about Buddy Hield that he knows, Kerr believes in him. I guess he has no choice but I think Kerr believes in him. And like you said, Dan, this is the first time in his life. I know in college, I believe they made the Final Four. This is the first time in his professional life that he's ever really played meaningful basketball minutes.
Right.
And it's fun. And the Warriors were ranked the number 1 organization in the NBA for a reason, because they are,
Yeah.
So he realizes that the only reason why he didn't get traded is because he makes $8 million a year. That's the only reason. So he really values the fact that he's a member of this team with these professionals, these Hall of Famers, so I root for Buddy. I do. I mean, he agonizes me sometimes, but I root for him. I do.
Yeah. He's hard not to root for.
As annoying as his play can be, sometimes they need him out there to spread the floor in his shooting.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just some things are frustrating with him. Getting picked by Steven Adams in the open floor is one of them. But he came up huge tonight.
He did.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been fun. We'll end it here. But we'll be back maybe Monday night. I don't know if, sometimes Frank and I get an invite over with Cy and Larry, and we'll go over there, but didn't hear anything tonight. So, and Rye was gonna, we'll do our own show if they're not doing their show, just simply because we want to talk Warriors basketball, and we'll see how this goes. But Monday night should be fun. We finally got a win by the Giants and the Warriors on the same day, and now that the Giants are off on Monday, I feel good about the Warriors. We could do it, get that one win. And if Jimmy, as this is true, according to Anthony Slater, Mike is telling us that Anthony Slater is saying Jimmy will be ready for Game 4. So that will be great. Oh, do I got to move the Giants to first place? Did San Diego lose? Giants are in first place. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
All right.
Well, listen, check me out tomorrow night.
Yes, in the Dungeon Show. Yes. You guys make sure you check out Frank's show tomorrow night. 9:00, Frank?
Yeah. 9:00. We'll go for an hour and a half, a couple of hours. And it's going to be an excellent show because we not only have the Warriors and other NBA stuff to talk about, but so many other things surrounding sports, i.e., Shedeur Sanders and other teams. I'll leave how the 49ers did in the draft of Larry and other folks. And I'm happy to do that because, you know, I would just be talking a whole lot of BS because I don't really follow, these guys as intently as some of these other content creators do. And that's fine. I want to see them on the field to see if they can go, but I'm interested in getting perspective on people who really, really cover that stuff. But we'll talk some 49ers a little bit. I also saw The Accountant 2 last night with Ben Affleck, a movie, and I'll be talking about that as well. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show.
All right. Well, let me plug this here. Hold on here 1 second. I'm going to just edit this.
Frank, I got to see Sinners this week. I've heard incredible things.
You haven't seen it?
No, I'm going to see it this week.
Yo, check this out. So I'm at a movie theater last night watching The Accountant 2 in IMAX. And like this other super big film, Sinners is playing in this other theater, right next door.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second week. And I'm talking 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. That thing was packed for Sinners. So it's catching on. Even in week 2, it's catching a lot of momentum. That is a phenomenal movie. It really
I can't wait to see it.
Okay, you're going to love it. It's great. Josh Allen's fiance, Haley Stanfield, is excellent. I didn't know she had the level of range that she has as an actress. I think she's going to be a big-time star after doing her thing in Sinners. So check it out. Let me know what you think about it.
For sure.
Yeah, it sounds like a good movie. And there is the show. You can find it, the spelling there, obviously no spaces with YouTube. So In the Dungeon Show. Just check it out and go over there and subscribe, help Frank's channel grow. And Sunday nights at 9 o'clock, man. Hey, Frank, great to have you. We'll do it again Monday if we're not on the other channel.
Okay, reach out to me, brother.
Yeah,
Lou,
we'll do.
Lou, it's always a pleasure, man, to hear your wisdom and your knowledge. And Deloading, man, pleasure to meet you, brother. I've read your stuff, but pleasure to talk to you. I really appreciate your knowledge on basketball. And other
Likewise,
things.
thank you.
All right, take care, gentlemen.
All right, guys. Take care, Frank.
Peace
All right,
out.
guys, that is going to do it for us as well. So we're going to be back tomorrow afternoon with Giants postgame. Giants go for the series win, and they face the Texas Rangers at 1:05. So we'll come on about 3:30, roughly 3:45, right after the last pitch. Hopefully the Giants can get it done and keep winning. They're 18-10, even though they're not hitting, but they're winning. So we'll take it. But the more important win, I'm glad the Giants won today, but the big win today was what we just watched with the Warriors. So, but Giants too. So guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out if you would. It means a lot to the show's growth. It pushes it out to more people.
And tomorrow night too, don't forget.
Oh yeah, tomorrow night. Yeah. That's right. We got it. We'll do a quick one in the afternoon. Then we got Hot Corner tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. That's a Giants coverage show with us here, NorCal Sports Network and Giants Sports Talk Live. We do that on Sunday nights at 8. So we'll see you guys tomorrow at both times, hopefully. All right, everybody, take care and have. Yeah, my brother was out tonight, Anthony. He was out to dinner when I texted him to come on. So watching the game on a screen at a restaurant, he sent me the picture. All right. Salt Factory. Jimmy Butler worked out on the practice pregame per source. Medical team held him out to give body 2 more days to heal, but there's a belief he'll be back for game 4. Nice. Very nice. Mike Suarez. He has Suarez 4 for 4 with 4 home runs today. Unbelievable. Unbelievable day for Eugenio Suarez for the Diamondbacks. Wow. Hey, good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow after the Giants game and then tomorrow night at 8. Take care.